I'm here with Frank Coccia, the founder of PUDO Inc., trading on the OTCQB under the ticker PDPTF, getting its name from the logistics acronym PUDO, or Pickup Drop Off. PUDO is one of North America's first customizable parcel pickup and drop off services. Frank, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
All right. Well, Frank, give us an introduction to the company. Let us know what's going on here.
Sure. As far as, as you know, my name is Frank Coccia. I'm the founder of PUDO. I've been in the logistics game for over 35 years. I build courier systems is what I do, and I do it for niche industries. I've done it for the financial services industry, travel, and optical industries in Canada, the UK, and Ireland. I've dabbled in a few countries in Europe as well, and that's pretty much my background. But the whole thing is I build courier systems, and the niche opportunity that I see with the PUDO product is very similar to what I did in the insurance industry, where it's very much a consolidated drop and pick up milk run type of operation. And that's exactly what I fell in love with the PUDO model, and decided to expand that here in Canada. We founded PUDO in 2015. It went public on the OTC and the Canadian Securities Exchange here in Canada. We today, to this particular point in Canada, we've expanded to over 1,700 locations. No, let me correct that. We have 1,000 live locations in Canada, and we have another 1,700 that are registered locations that want to become PUDO points. But before we get into the actual network of it, I think people should understand what a PUDO point is, and why PUDO exists. When I came back from the UK in 2008, I came here purposely to set up for large companies like FedEx and DHL, where they were having residential delivery problems. And the idea was to build a courier model that fed into a supermarket model where, similar to the post office, when people aren't home, they can go into a supermarket to pick up their package. And while they're picking up a package, maybe they're also buying some groceries. So the opportunity came there to also create a sales model for the courier company. So that being my background, I thought it would be great to set up this courier style model in a supermarket, but with more than one carrier. So at that point, we had FedEx, DHL, and another Canadian carrier called Same Day Right Away. And we found that after about 4 years of working with the supermarket model, we found that couriers were being very protective of their network, and they wanted an aggressive network of their own, so they have a leg over competition. So FedEx wanted to be stronger than UPS, and UPS wanted to be stronger than Purolator, and the game keeps going. But what ended up happening over a few years was that we found that it wasn't becoming as profitable as the model that we thought. So things started to dilute quite rapidly. Going back to the UK, I found a convenience store model. And when I saw this convenience store model, the only thing I didn't like about it was that it was owned by a courier company. So my thought has always been, and coming back to a vision that I've had, is that if we can create a courier agnostic solution for the industry, it helps the courier in reducing costs. It provides more convenience to the consumers. The retailers are not tied to one carrier. So if you're selling your wares online today and you're selling with FedEx, you're selling the FedEx price and you've got their network. And if you want to switch to UPS, it's not that easy. But again, you're totally tied. The consumer is tied because whoever the retailer is using to distribute the product is basically how they're going to receive it. The post office, more often than not, win the traffic because of the cost points that they offer the industry. The courier industry in a whole has a disadvantage because they don't have a courier network, similar to how the post office has their courier counter. So if you're not at home, you can go to a courier counter and pick up. So when we first started, it was, people saw us as competitors more than anything else, but we really weren't competitors because we were not competing in the last mile delivery, being the courier delivering the product. Maybe I'm moving at 100 miles an hour here for you. I don't know if I'm going off.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the last mile. Let's just talk about the logistics and try to explain this as if you're explaining this to an American who has no idea what these locations are. Yeah.
Okay, so if we look at our model is predominantly, family-run operations, independent stores, and their convenience stores and bodegas. So to go back to our network now really quickly, in Canada, we have still under 1,000 that are registered receiving packages today on a daily basis, and about 1,700 that are registered waiting to be activated to become a PUDO location active.
Okay, yeah. So here's a question: Why would a company that's shipping stuff prefer not to just ship to somebody's house? I guess.
Okay, that's a
Yeah.
great question, because here it is. About 40% of North Americans live in a condo or an apartment that
Mm.
don't have a doorman.
Hmm.
The buzzer system or a key entry system, or they might just live in a neighborhood that's not safe to leave a package on a doorstep. And it's not because of the neighborhood. It just could be that you live in a residential area that has a lot of high traffic in front of it, and your package is sitting there with over 23 million packages being stolen off of porches. And you've heard the
Hmm.
term porch pirates. It's something that's quite concerning, both to the retailer and to the consumer. So those people that live in these types of an environment, again, I go back to about the 40%, have constantly have this problem. So unless they have an arrangement, or it's coming by the post office where they can go to the post office to pick up their package, they're always running into this problem. Couriers have the problem that they have to keep coming back a second and third time to try to make the delivery. Do
Hmm.
they? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But it becomes very costly for the courier, inconvenient for the consumer. Now you live in one of these, an apartment that is you need buzzer entry.
I
You're
do.
not at
Yeah.
home. uh, the option will be there at the checkout to say, hey, send it to my convenience store a block or two away from me. As soon as it arrives, our technology, which is what we pride ourselves in, its simplicity is the best. It scans a package in, and it advises you right away when we scan it in, hey, your package is here, Justin, come and get it. And
Hmm.
when you come in, we scan it one more time, ask you to sign the tablet, and off you go. And hopefully while you're there, you'll buy something while you're at the convenience store, because these guys are in the nickel and dime business.
Hmm.
And because they're in the nickel and dime business, Justin, it's they embrace new store traffic coming in. And this is what we love about it, is that we're bringing business back into these local communities that have lost it to the big box stores. And again, it's just so it brings so much happiness to everybody that's involved in the program.
It's like a win-win. And just kind of round this out in my head. So when I order something online and I'm watching it ship from halfway across the country, and it takes it takes a shockingly short amount of time to get to my city, and then it's in my city and it's like a few miles away from me, and I can't pick it up. I have to wait like a day for it to go from like this little port that's just I could just drive to it, but they don't let me pick it up. And this you kind of just you fix that last mile issue.
Yeah, I mean, the courier industry over the past 4 or 5 years has changed drastically, and I call it the Amazon factor. I mean, Amazon come here and totally disrupted the way things are moving around the country and around the world with an amazing amount of speed that they're getting. From the time you order it to the time you receive it, you might even you wake up and the package is already there, type of thing. But yeah, you're quite right. I mean, here, but just giving you this option, because in Europe, people have 5, 6 different options of how to receive a package,
Hmm.
and consumers given the choice. Here, we're not given the choice, and where
Yeah.
we've been fighting and slowly winning is that we're convincing retailers and couriers to add the PUDO network to their checkout process. So it allows the consumer, you're making the consumer happier. The customer satisfaction is so important to retailers today. You're cutting courier costs because it's a guaranteed delivery. And the most important part of our network is that we now become a B2B delivery point, which is a business to business. It's a guaranteed delivery for a carrier. And that in itself is a cheaper method of distributing product, because it's guaranteeing the carrier that there's somebody there to receive it, and the amount of time that they waste at your home by the time you answer the door is dramatically reduced. And it's also good for the environment, because we're reducing traffic on the road, and
That's
it's
a
a
big deal.
one-stop shop, right? So I mean, if you think about one convenience store getting 10 packages for people that live in the neighborhood, I mean, that's 10 deliveries. It's an hour's worth of time that the vehicle doesn't have to be in that neighborhood and missing gas. So it's a big play.
Yeah. So what do you think your biggest obstacle is as you're heading into the U.S. market?
Oh, it's like every company we're going. Our biggest obstacle is cash, and
Hmm.
speed to market. Um, I think today we've proven our model. We've over the 5 years, and it's tough. Like everything else, nothing ever happens overnight, and because it's such a brand new concept in North America, we use Canada very much as a test market, to make sure that our technology works, that and that the consumers are picking up the program, and because a lot of North Americans, they are preconditioned by the post office. When they receive a sticky note on their door, you're not home, come to the post office, collect it. When one of our carriers now uses the sticky note, the customer knows what to do, and it's not something that they see um, as a negative towards the courier. They've actually made it more comfortable for them, saying, "I don't have to travel down, across the town to go pick it up. I can only go a couple of blocks, and it's there." At least they know it's there. They might not like it the first time around, but the second time, knowing that the package is there, they they do like it. And more importantly, we want to give them the choice to say, "I just send all my packages there from here on in, and then I'll just pick it up." And today's, your life is a lot different than the way it used to be years ago. And you guys are busy moving around all times, and you can pick up your package at 11 o'clock at night. And our network too, what we really did with our network is that, we've gone to the convenience store model and the gas stations that have convenience store for a couple of very, I think, smart reasons. Is that the hours of operation are a lot more conducive to people's lifestyles today. So, if you're out and you're working late and you don't get off at 7 or 8, and if you work in a rural part of the country, your post office closes at 5:30, 6, might even be closed on the weekend. So that becomes a problem. And you miss your package on a Friday, you have to wait till Monday before you can pick it up, or have to wait till tomorrow morning. Here, there's a situation that I got home at 7, and I need it because whether it's a part for my computer or whatever the case, you can still go out at 10 o'clock at night, or on the weekend and pick it up, or on your way home from the bar, or whatever. There's a lot of different things you can do. But again, it's about convenience. It's an option for you, and it's a win-win. Yeah, the courier saves. You have less stress because you know where your package is and you pick it up on your time and your dime. And I get, like, we're not going after, I said 40% of the market is what we're looking for. These are the people that we believe have the problem, and PUDO will really solve a big problem for them. The other 60%, it's a convenience play. You can be on holiday. You don't want your wife or whoever to know that you've bought them something, so you have it sent somewhere where they're not going to see it. There's so many. It becomes something that you can choose when you want to use it, and that's the big thing for me.
Yeah,
Also, I don't think I answered your question about our expansion in the U.S. Did I?
Well, you're starting. Yeah, go ahead.
Cash is the situation here, and obviously speed to market. So in Canada, we brought on companies that, like the Transforce family, which is a huge transportation company in Canada and the U.S., has been our biggest partner from day one. From that, we brought on companies such as Landmark Global, which is a Belgian post company, which is quite big in the U.S. and they do about 10 million packages. They export about 10 million packages a year from the U.S. into Canada. And we've just are rolling out Canada's largest courier company called Purolator. We got into returns, which is a big problem area for the retail industry, and we use Canada again as a testing ground for returns, and that led us to a company called Give Back Box, which is a huge American company which again donates usable goods back into a charity, so it can be funneled out and given to the poor and the homeless and whatever, and that's a huge program in the U.S. and we launched that.
What are you doing with them?
Well, with them, we've launched the Canadian program 3 weeks ago, and we're just signing off agreements that are bringing us into the U.S. with them as well. So we'll be their U.S. logistics partner in the new year, and we're also expanding into Europe. So we have a global reach with them as well. So we're going into Italy, Spain, the U.K., and a few more countries, and that's all happening in the first quarter of next year. So that's really exciting. And again, that's volume that's being dropped off at our locations. It's free for the shippers, so you've got something at home. And they've just launched a partnership with Legos in the U.S. as well. I don't know if you've heard about that, but there's a big pilot going on in the Massachusetts area. And Legos are recycling Lego blocks, which is just an amazing idea, and we're going to get involved in that project as well. And that's exciting for us.
Oh.
These things here have all led us to opportunities, and we also have 6 of the largest regional carriers in the U.S. as partners, and the regional carriers combined do about $2 billion of courier movements, and a lot of that is residential. They're in the e-commerce sector today, so they have all these pain points, and our locations and our networks actually help them, because what we've also found that while we were rolling out in Canada, our network has allowed these courier companies to win new business because they can compete at a much more competitive level with their local post offices, with the FedEx grounds, with the UPS ground services, because they now have a network counter of their own that they could use when you're not at home. And that for us is the big one. And now with that, and this is where the money comes in. We've already signed agreements with, let's put it this way, I'd rather have the press release go out first before I say anything, but let's say they're one of the top 5 global e-commerce players. And we've got an American agreement signed with them and a Canadian agreement signed with them. So the press releases are being written as we speak. So that news will be coming out shortly. And all I can tell your listeners and people is keep an eye on this company, because it's going to be moving and shaking pretty quick. And it's going to be a very interesting development. It's more, it's not how fast we get to market, but it's how controlled we get to market, because we can now, after this win, we can actually be more selective in terms of what businesses we onboard to make us more profitable and rapidly grow our network.
Well, obviously,
also in the U.S., and this is another thing I forgot to tell you earlier, and as you can see, I shoot from the hip. There's not a lot of things. I've been in this thing for such a long time. Like, we have over 3,500 stores that are registered in the U.S. today that we've built up through our association with the National Convenience Stores Association of the U.S., called NACS. We have access to 26,000 convenience stores and bodegas. So as we require locations, we have access to, like I said, 26,000 that we can go out and recruit and bring onto our system. We plan to have by the 2022, by the end of the calendar year 2022, we're looking at having about 16,000 operating locations in the U.S. and about 3,000 in Canada. We believe that's enough. That's going to cover, provide the comfort levels that every American and Canadian needs for the receipt and distribution of the products.
Oh, that's great. I would definitely like to go back to what you were talking about with this news coming out. Is it what can you tell us without giving too much away? Because you started talking about it and then you jumped to something else.
One of the top 5 is, you can kind of take it from that, and
and you're going to be integrating with them, or
yes, we have pilots ongoing as we speak. So I mean, so the beauty is that that's on both sides of the border, and it's very exciting. So it's gonna propel us into it's like getting the gold seal of approval, that type of a thing.
Right. Well,
everybody plays follow the leader, right?
Yeah. And our listeners, I mean, we'll definitely share the news to our listeners when it comes out, because that's exciting. And well, is there anything else you want to talk about? What else that you can share with us, especially when focusing on heading into the United States and making a mark here?
Well, I said, like, with this new release that we're about to put out, and how we're marketing ourselves to the US, and how the retailers are like, we're talking to every major platform today in the US, and we have been for a number of years, and because we haven't gone away, and our network just keeps growing, and our numbers keep growing, and now we're just about ready to blow things out of the water. I think with the people in the US, they'll start to quickly realize that this PUDO network is going to become a very real part of daily life, and one that you should be involved with. That a startup like this is where you need to be involved with at the beginning. Like, how many times do people, there's an opportunity with a company or a stock, is it, I remember when, and this is one of those I remember when plays.
I think that's very possible. Like, you're putting yourself in a position where you're solving 2 problems that billionaires are trying to solve. Just to clarify, talking about traffic and congestion,
Yes.
And e-commerce. And so you're positioning yourself very nicely. And so what you just said, it's reasonable. And,
and our biggest win here too, Justin, is that we're not the courier. We're not
exactly.
Courier.
Yeah.
Because if we were, then we'd be no different than the people that are out there today. In reverse logistics, we're going to save a ton of cash for the retailers, because again, that's something that as an independent organization, we have the flexibility to hold, consolidate, create savings before it gets distributed back into market or ultimately donated.
Yeah, and I'm certainly excited for it to start showing up here because I just hate waiting for that package. I really do. And I would love to just have a drink and then go and pick up my package at the convenience store and buy something there too, which would be nice.
Customer.
Yeah, that I just wanted to be here for me. That's all that I care about. Anyway, Frank, it was nice talking to you, and we're looking forward to the news coming out. And I'll leave it there.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right.
Take care, Justin.